Hello and welcome. My name is Michelle. I am your emotional resilience coach, and today we're going to chat about compliments. It is so difficult for so many of us to accept compliments. It feels awkward, it feels icky, it feels weird, and we don't know what to do with them. We either dismiss it, we undermine it, we ignore it, we whisper a awkward thank you, we try to be gracious, we grin, we smile, but we want to escape. We don't want to be there. It feels terrible, it feels weird, it just doesn't feel right. But yet it is nice. They're nice things that are being said about you, and we can't accept it because our brains kick it out as nonsense, rubbish. They don't know what they're talking about. So much of it comes from our society and obviously our childhood, our programming from our parents. And society generally likes us to all be good little boys and good little girls who stay in our place, who know our worth, who don't try and step out of the status quo. And nobody likes a bragger. You know, if somebody's like really happy about having achieved something, nobody likes that. That person gets shut down. If somebody's in a good place and they're like, hey, something really amazing's happening, people can't really be happy for you. So there is already a lot going against us that, compliments, well done, good job, these sort of things are not generally encouraged. There has been a great shift in the last couple of years where people are being more generous with their compliments, with their good thoughts, with their good feelings. But there is always going to be that element, right? There's an opposition in all things. There's always going to be that element where people are not going to be quite as happy for you. And one of the things that happens, especially when you are a child, especially if you have CPTSD and you are a fawn, you're not used to hearing it. This is unfamiliar territory. As a child, you would have been told that you don't know the right thing to do, or you don't know the right thing to say, or stop being like this, or that's not good enough, or you were highly criticized. And what would have happened is that you would have heard the criticisms so often that it would have become a pattern that you would have identified with and something that you would have enveloped within you. And now your own inner critic or your own inner parent is now shouting the odds at you and telling you that you're not enough, you're not measuring up, you could do better than that, you know better than that, you should have done better. And this barrage of insults and fighting and demeaning words, don't be so stupid, who do you think you are? This ugliness that we do to ourselves is something that we would have picked up or heard when we were children. Maybe it was something that they said to us directly. Maybe this was language that our parents used with themselves. So often when dealing with clients, it's so interesting that it's almost scary to say something good about ourselves. When we start going into that realm of owning our goodness and owning our worth, we immediately disqualify it, or we immediately try and cover it up. We immediately try and make it like it really isn't a thing, or like nobody knows that I am less perfect than most. We would really emphasize the negativity within ourselves, and we don't shine the light on the goodness that is in us. And what we can do, and part of our healing process, is learning to accept compliments graciously. So when people say something nice to you, also try and not get into this part of your brain of, are they being sincere? What are they wanting from me? What are they looking for? Just take it at face value. Somebody said something nice about you. Now, what is awesome about that is A, it is true, but B, it is something you can work on looking for in your own life. So let's say somebody says, you know what, you are a smart dresser, or I love your hair, or whatever it is they say about you. People generally, you'll know, people say to you regularly, you've got beautiful eyes, or you've got such a lovely smile, it's so warm and comforting, or something you would have heard periodically. Look for those compliments that have been told to you already and build upon them. Hold on to them. Make them as part of your mantra. Get used to looking at yourself in the mirror and saying, hey, I have good eyes, or hey, I've got great dress sense, or hey, I really know how to mix colors, or whatever it is it may be for you. Get comfortable doing that because it helps build you, it helps heal you, because it is love, it is light, it is who you are at the core. If it is something, for example, oh, you know what, you are a great listener. grab it and say, thank you. I'm so, so grateful that you see that in me. And when you're feeling down, when you want to beat up on yourself, when you want to tell yourself how wrong you are, how you've done a bad job, or whatever it is that we say to ourselves to undermine ourselves, to beat ourselves up, replace it with the compliments that you have heard recently and get comfortable with that language. The reason why it is so awkward, the reason why it feels so icky for you is because it is just so unfamiliar, which is terribly, terribly heartbreaking. But we can change that. We can take that which is unfamiliar and we can now flip it and we can now make it the new voice, the new pattern of thought, the new way of being. And we can tell ourselves these things that we hear from other people and we can look for it. And what happens is that it builds. So when you start looking for the good thing, the small good thing within you, then your brain is now being wired to start looking for more good within you that you can expand upon, that you can use as building blocks. Compliments can be a great tool because so often when we've been through a trauma, when we've been through abuse, when we have things like CPTSD, we have such a low sense of self-worth and such a low sense of esteem that sometimes we can't see it within ourselves. We don't know what to look for within ourselves because our brains are just going to fight and push back at us all the time. So if you don't know what is good about you, listen to what people are saying that is good about you, or people have told you in the past that is good about you. Grab it with both hands, build upon it, write it on a sticky note, put it on a mirror, and feed yourself with goodness, right? We're either going to feed ourselves with all the things that are toxic and perpetuate the abuse that we went through in our lives, or we're going to change the narrative of our story and we're going to feed ourselves with good, positive things about ourselves. So often people think, well, that means I'm going to be a menace. This means I'm just going to run around thinking I'm greater than I actually am. It's not true. What all it does is it allows us to soften with ourselves, allows us to have compassion, and it allows us to come from a place of goodness. In that space, we are still able to see the things that need to be worked on. And that's okay. There will always be things that we have to work on. But if we're living from a place of shame, if we're living from a place of darkness, what happens is that we hide, and when we hide is when we actually are not open to see. It is important for us to know that what we focus on grows. In our healing, let's look for the good. Let's use the compliments as a base. Let's get comfortable with the uncomfort of it, with the discomfort of it, and go, okay, all right. This person says this about me. Wow, that's really nice. That's really amazing. Can I believe this about me? And let's nurture that. The nurture, we're going to feed goodness, we're going to feel good. If we're going to feed ugly, darkness, criticism, insults, mean-spiritedness, unkindness, we're going to feel horrible about ourselves. We're going to hide. And from that place of hiding, we're not going to be able to heal and to grow and to be the best version of ourselves. I hope you have a most fantastic day. Own your light. Grab that compliment. Feel empowered. If this resonates, please do hit like, subscribe, and the notifications button. And as always, I love to hear from you. Have a super day.